All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
So, Missouri just passed a law encouraging but not requiring their schools to teach first graders gun safety through the NRA Eddie Eagle program, which, by the way, teaches about 1 million kids a year the safe use of handling of firearms. The other thing they did, by the way, was change the licensing and put it in the hands of local sheriffs for your concealed carry permits instead of the State Department of Transportation. And the reason they did that was because the State Department of Transportation kept violating Missouri law and sharing their list with the federal government. Imagine that. Again, you just have to trust your government, folks. I mean, so the legislature, now think about this, the legislature of Missouri and the governor have to change who keeps the list because their State Department of Transportation keeps violating Missouri law. Who the hell runs the government? I mean, if the governor and the legislature can't make the bureau. Oh, wait a minute. It's just like the NSA. The president and the Congress don't have any control of the bureaucracy. Wow, isn't that neat? It works at the state level and the federal level. So remember who's really running your life. It's the bureaucrats. And their power is apparently so absolute that the only way to prevent them from not doing, the governor can't say, hey, Department of Transportation, stop breaking Missouri law. He says, I can't trust those guys, so I have to put somebody else in charge of this information. That's insane if you think about it for a minute. So the Missouri legislature and the Missouri governor have to put the list of concealed gun holders in the hands of other people because the agency that reports to them is created by them and funded by them, keeps breaking the laws that they are supposed to be enforcing. Welcome to the new America. Dan, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger. What's going on?
That's a great segue into my point, Carl. I'm just concerned about the lawlessness of government all the way around, and that's why I'm really concerned about this thing with the Attorney General recusing herself from defending the Pennsylvania Defense of Marriage Act. And regardless of what you think about the act itself, my concern is that any time we get a Democrat governor who doesn't want to defend an act, that was run through a primarily Republican, say it's a Republican agenda item. Anytime that the Democratic Attorney General doesn't want to defend it, and the Democratic governor doesn't want to defend it, there'll be no one to defend it, and we'll end up like the Defense of Marriage Act amendment, I guess the referendum system that they had in California. When it went before the Supreme Court, the state refused to defend it, and it was thrown out on the basically the technicality that no one had standing to defend it other than the state.
Right.
That is my concern, and I missed what your response was to Bob, but I could see that as the new wave of politics. If you have a Democrat Attorney General, a Democrat governor, they could get some shill to attack every single Republican agenda item passed within the last 20 years and say, you know what, they're unconstitutional, and the Attorney General says, yeah, I agree with you, and the Democrat governor says, yeah, I agree with you. We're not going to defend that.
Yeah, now Pennsylvania is a weird state because our law does allow the Attorney General to pass over representation of a matter to the governor's office or the other executive branches.
But didn't the law say if there's some reason why she can't?
Yeah, she's saying she's ethically prohibited from doing it. So, and I'll give you an example. If you come into my office and you hire me, right? And we go over to the child support office, and if we're walking from my office to the child support office, you're like, by the way, I'm not going to tell them about my second job. I get paid under the table $200 a week. Mm-hmm. I can't ethically now represent you. Okay?
But the difference is,
what's the difference?
In that particular instance, I would be breaking the law. I would be.
Now, wait a minute. You're ethically. But the oath that we take when we become a lawyer is to defend the U.S. Constitution and the Pennsylvania Constitution, right? Mm-hmm. So let me ask this question. I'm going to rephrase it the way I did for Bob. Let's suppose that there's a law in the books that says, I don't know, black people can't use the water fountains that white people use. And an attorney general says, maybe make the year 1954. I don't feel that's constitutional. I don't think that black people should be treated differently than white people. In your regime, then, she would be doing something illegal by refusing to uphold the law, which is that black people should use a separate water fountain, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
And that's the issue. The issue is,
but without Carl, without that defense, then what is the essence? Why do we even have legislative bodies in the state?
I understand. You're not wrong.
The executive branches can decide for themselves. Look at what happened this week, last week with Obamacare. Obama decided to waive the employer mandate. It was part of a duly passed law. They touted this. They celebrated.
This current administration picks and chooses what it wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's a lawless nation, and we're going further down that road when we say the Attorney General doesn't have to defend duly appointed laws. And the governor says, "I'm not going to either."
But that's the question. I mean, wait a minute. Let's be honest about this. So she has the option of saying, I'm ethically unable to do this, so I cannot do it. Therefore, somebody else has to do it if they have a different belief, a good faith belief. But let me ask you it this way. If the people of Pennsylvania have elected a governor and an attorney general who both decline for ethical reasons to go forward with something, isn't the remedy to put somebody else back in office?
Yeah, and what we're looking at is 2 years from now, we might have a Democratic governor and a Democrat attorney general, and we'll have to wait 2 years. Can you imagine what kind of mayhem could be done in 2 years?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But hey, it's a democracy,
think of your gun rights. And I made this point with Bob, is that when Bob Casey was governor, I don't remember the exact reason why, but they changed the concealed carry permit laws from beyond that point, they might have given 5 licenses a year. And then the laws were loosened when Bob Casey was the governor to the point where you didn't necessarily have to prove an absolute need for one. You just told them the reason you needed one, and as long as you were a law-abiding citizen, didn't have a felony, you could get that concealed permit. Suppose somebody now challenges that to say that's too dangerous, and the attorney general, who is in favor of gun control, I believe, says, you know what, I don't feel comfortable defending that law. And the next Democrat governor says, I don't feel comfortable. We lose our gun rights.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. And so
for at least 2 years until we vote them out. And then we got to go back through the whole legislative process, which we did in the first place.
Yeah, I know.
To redo what I think they did illegal. I mean, personally, I believe the Republicans should start impeachment proceedings, whether they go anywhere or not, just to send a message that we can't let this genie completely out of the box and allow this to be the way that we do politics in the state of Pennsylvania. Then it will be no better than Chicago.
Well, come on now, Philadelphia and Chicago. I mean, is there a difference?
Well, yeah, I agree. Philadelphia is bad, but we don't have that. The whole state wasn't run like that. But if the whole state turns into Philadelphia, and maybe parts of Pittsburgh, we're doomed.
Well, and so let me come back to this. It does create an issue because here's the idea. There's a presumption that laws that have passed legislatively are constitutional. Okay, and then when they're signed by the executive, there's an incredibly strong presumption that they're constitutional, right?
Okay.
So for Kane to say that she finds it wholly unconstitutional is to say that I'm rejecting all those presumptions. Now, a very good argument could be made that she's a Democrat, she's a woman, and she wants to run for some nationwide office, and that she's giving up her interest as Pennsylvania's Attorney General to further her own politics. Okay.
Carl, before you go on beyond that point, you could also say that she does not respect the legislative process at all.
It's true. On the other hand, if it was a local sheriff pledging to refuse to uphold some kind of gun law because he felt it was unconstitutional, most of the fans of this show would applaud him or her. And so in my mind, what really matters is what is her heart? Where is her heart really in this? And I don't know Kathleen Kane well enough to know where her heart is in this or not. But I would suggest that it's possible that she truly does believe this is unconstitutional. There are a lot of very smart people who reach the conclusion that this whole marriage thing is unconstitutional.
Well, and irregardless of that, does it not say that her staff is that ideological that she can't find one in her staff that could sufficiently defend this law?
Well, but it's under her name, so I mean theoretically. But that's where it turns to the governor's office, and we have a process in place where the Office of General Counsel can take this over. I mean, maybe they'll end up doing like they did with their Penn State lawsuit and getting their butts kicked, but who knows? But
we have that option for the next 2 years. After that,
then we have a duly elected governor who's going to make that choice. All right, got to go to break. Good points.
Okay, thanks, Carl.
Oh, okay. Well, if you missed the Edward Snowden interview, I apologize. That was over in the first hour. But, boy, we learned a whole bunch. I want to remind you, RJ Gold. If you need to liquidate an estate or business, I recommend you call RJ Gold Auctions. He can buy outright or sell your items at auction. RJ Gold can be reached at 645-0061. So, basically, you got an estate that needs auction. You got an old business you want to auction off. Whatever, you call RJ Gold, 645-0061. But he also purchases outright items like medals, pins, patches, tokens, awards, badges, and most historical collectibles. So if you found Granddad's secret Nazi flag or Aunt Bessie's Civil War sword and you were afraid to display either one of them in the front of your house for some odd reason, I couldn't figure out why, you can call RJ Gold, and he'll take them off your hands and find somebody who wants to put them in their closet and look at them from time to time. He can pay you right away. RJ Gold, 645-0061, 6th Street in Harrisburg, PA licensed auctioneer number AU005798. Any reference to collectibles were mine and mine alone, not wholly endorsed by RJ Gold. But he does buy those things, just so you know. Well, I don't know about the Nazi stuff. Who knows? I did actually have an estate that had a pile of Nazi stuff in it. And amazingly, it auctioned off for $1 gazillion. So there is apparently an entire secret society of people collecting these things. No, Paula Dean was not at the auction. Okay. 540-0580. Joan, you're on the air.
Did you say Joanne?
Joanne!
Yes.
I said Joan, but that's because I can't read.
Oh, that's okay.
Secret. Don't tell anybody.
I'm a little nervous, so bear with me.
Okay.
I take a bus to work, but a couple months back I fell walking to the bus stop, so I've been driving, and I park. It's about 4 blocks from my house. I park on a street in front of other people's houses, and I get on the bus.
Okay.
I'm legally parked. I called the police and told, because somebody put a sign up where I parked that says, vehicles left on property will be towed at owner's expense, management. Now, where I park, there's a house up for sale. So I called the realtor. The realtor said, no, it wasn't me, and he said the house is now under contract. It's vacant. But anyway, then there's a corner house. And the other day I went there, and there was a lady peering out at the corner house. And just so happened that my mother drove me and was waiting there, but she didn't stay. What the heck should I do? The police said her sign is legal, and I'm park legal. I'm terrified what they might do.
Well, if you're parked publicly on a roadway, she doesn't have the right to tow you.
Exactly, and what if she calls a company that they know somebody? I've actually called 7 towing companies, and every one of them said, no, we cannot. That will be considered grand theft auto.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you may. So here's the answer. I guess what happens is if you go to get off your bus and your car's not there, do you have a cell phone?
Yes.
And you call somebody and say, somebody towed my car, and then you have a heck of a lawsuit against the tow company and the person who put them up to it, okay?
But we don't even know. I don't even know who put the sign out.
All right, I understand that.
So, but should I take the chance and park there and see what happens?
Well, I think I'm telling you to.
I know you would.
I don't think there's... What's the worst thing that's going to happen to your car? It's going to get towed, and then you'll get it back, right? That's the absolute worst thing that can happen to you.
Or what if there's nails in the road and my tires go flat?
Well, then you're going to be in a dogfight with somebody. That's right. That's sometimes maybe find another place to park, but that's... I'm not sure what the answer is. And what I mean by this is this other person's obviously harassing you at some level.
Exactly. I called it bullying.
Yeah. And so, I'm not one to kowtow. So my advice would be, and when they put nails under it, I'm going to find out who they are. And then I'm going to take those nails and I'm going to nail them right into their forehead. But with
what about
with a
the
nail
sign
gun.
that says management and their houses?
Right. Well, yeah, they probably just got a sign from. I was watching Curious George earlier today, and he took some signs down and he mixed them all up and put all the wrong signs in the wrong place. And somebody tried to kick Bentley out of the building because there was a no dog sign, and it turns out that sign shouldn't have been there.
Oh, okay.
And my point on this is they probably just picked up a sign that says no parking management because that's what they all say when you go buy them at the business store.
Okay.
So this sign doesn't really mean anything except they bought one and stuck it up.
All right. But so you have to pursue it and see what happens.
I think here's what happens. Are you ready?
Yes.
If you're intimidated,
I'm intimidated.
they won. And you'll move and you'll park somewhere else.
Exactly.
And you know what? A lot of people go through life and they avoid conflict that way. And I'm not saying it's not a bad way to go. On the other hand, some people, now if it was my brother would stake the place out and try to like, put the person who came near his car in a headlock and then wonder why he's in trouble. Okay.
Right.
Well, gee, buddy, you can't beat him up. On the other hand, the other approach is simply to ignore it, and then if they do something and cross a line, then you got them.
But that's what I'm afraid of.
But what are they going to do to you? If your car gets towed, are you going to die?
I don't know.
Right, you're going to come
up.
Where's my car?
Neighbor conflicts where it ends in a shooting.
Well, I understand that happens once in a while. You're right. So perhaps the better answer is for you.
Park somewhere else.
Park somewhere else. The answer for me is it ends in a shooting. Me shooting the person who. But my point is.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right,
okay.
you knew I was going there. But no, and I'm just telling you, like, you have to make a choice. And here's the next thing. You ready? The best answer.
Legal thing.
Right.
There's no legal issue.
There's no legal issue, but the best thing you can do, by the way, sometimes is just simply say, you know what? I don't need to park there that badly that some crazy person's going to go to all this trouble, right?
Right.
So I might as well avoid them because here's the one thing. There must be something wrong with this person. So they are a little off. And the question is, how off are they, right?
Right.
So why find out?
Right. Good.
So,
okay.
All right.
Now I feel better. All right. Thanks a lot. I love your show.
Thank you very much. Oh, boy. Okay, Bill, I know you need to know something about a gun. Maybe you can help this girl park her car. What's going on?
I wish I could, Carl. Hey, I enjoy your program immensely.
Thank you.
I'm going on vacation next week, traveling from Hummelstown down to Nashville, Tennessee. I have a concealed carry permit, and I carry my pistol in my car console at all times. I'm traveling through Maryland, Virginia, into Tennessee. Reciprocating gun laws in any of those states?
I don't know off the top of my head. What I do is I go to the NRA has a little website that'll show you which states reciprocate with which ones.
Okay.
The advice is when crossing state lines, however, if you're going from a reciprocating state to a reciprocating state, then you may have the gun in each, okay? How do you get the gun from A to B? Well, usually you should have it taken apart. What I mean by taken apart is unloaded with the bullets stored separately from the gun in the trunk of your car in separate containers.
Okay.
That way there's no question. And as when we had the gun trust lawyer guy on, he was mentioning, the idea of you have the absolute right for interstate travel with a gun, okay, between 2 points. But the question becomes, what happens if you stop at Niagara Falls as you're going along the I-90 and your wife says, well, let's stop up here and look at the falls. Now, are you really just traveling through the state or have you stopped in the state? Mm-hmm. Now, if you stop at the rest stop, you're probably still traveling through the state, but we run into a fact-specific question. Two other things come to mind. Don't drive 100 miles an hour.
Correct.
And number two, don't offer up what you have in the trunk of your car. By the way, officer, I just thought you should know I'm carrying a gun in interstate transportation, wholly legal, according to my radio host.
So my NRA sticker on the side of my car could be a problem.
Well, it sees the NRA sticker, so you remember the NRA. So are you a member of the NRA? Yes, I am. You got any guns with you today? Officer, I don't answer questions from police officers without consulting my lawyer first.
Very good.
But the point is...
I did jot down your telephone number as a result of your last commercial break.
So, but I really seriously say go to the website and take a look.
Okay.
But storing it that way and transporting it that way when interstate is a really good way to go. But you have to make sure the state you're going to, it's legal in, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, I believe Nashville, they're pretty red state friendly.
Right.
Although I'm certainly going to check all three. I know Maryland's unbelievably bad.
Maryland's unbelievably bad, correct.
I travel to New Jersey frequently, and frankly, I break the law. But
traveling through New Jersey, you mean?
Yeah, well, I go to my daughter's house.
Yes, through New Jersey.
Yes, exactly.
All right, my friend.
Carl, I thank you very, very much.
All right, thank you.
You take care now.
It's like being a priest here. People give you their confessions. By the way, I had a really good one here. Let me find it here. Okay, Matt wants to know. Question, my bearded Facebook friend. Does an employer in PA have the right to take an employee's purse and search through it? This was not my purse, by the way. I'm not that comfortable with my sexuality to carry a purse. Well, Matt, I thought I'd read the whole question to be fair. Short answer is yes, an employer could search a purse, although we talked about this, some lawyers and non-lawyers. I don't think they could just search a purse. And what I mean by that is they can't just take your purse and start searching. I think that would be unreasonable. And it may be an invasion of privacy. On the other hand, if the employer says, we're a jewelry store and we reserve the right to look through any employee's bags, pockets, or anything when coming and going from the store, or you work in a secured facility, etc., then I think it could be made a condition of employment very easily. But it would have to be, reasonable, and it would have to be tied. So I'm told, for instance, that if you work at the Hershey Chocolate Factory, there are areas where people go in and they can carry like a clear bag in with them with some items in them. Sounds like the airport. That's what I was told anyhow. So my thought of the matter is, yes, you can search the purse, but you can't just start the inspections on Tuesday for the first time. I think there has to be a little understanding ahead of time. 540-0580, back after the break.
Let's return to Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger on WHP 580.
Welcome back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580. I want to remind you guys I'm going to be speaking to the Adams 912 Patriots on July 18th at 7 p.m. on the Second Amendment gun rights. That's going to be at the Cross Keys Motor Inn down at intersection of 30 and 94. Feel free to check it out. You go to RomingerLaw.com. It's one of the news articles up there, and see what's going on. And let's see here. Bert, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Mr. Rominger.
Yeah, how are you?
Wonderful. Mr. Rominger, I noticed here that you can provide public defenders free of charge for criminals, but for small businessmen, you're on your own. What's wrong with this picture here? Because I'm in a situation where the defendant has bankrupted me because he's a lawyer.
Well, here's the long story short. The only reason the government provides public defenders is because they've been told they have to by the United States Supreme Court. If it were up to most counties and states, I think they would choose to leave defendants on their own to be prosecuted freely. But they've been forced to pay for it, and nobody's yet extended that to anybody else.
So you say this originates from the federal government? The
United States Supreme Court ruled that people who can't afford an attorney had a constitutional... Since you have a right to have an attorney under the Constitution, if you couldn't afford one and the government was going to prosecute you, then they have to provide the attorney.
And you're saying when they wrote that, they excluded the small businessmen and others.
They just brought that fresh out of the Constitution when it came to criminal cases and criminal cases only.
I can't believe it.
I know.
But hopefully, after they've heard this talk, that they'll change their ways.
Well, Bert, give it to them. 540-0580. Bill, you're on WHP 580.
Hey, Carl.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Jury duty tomorrow, U.S. District Court, Harrisburg. That's in the federal building, right?
Yes.
So I pretty much have to give up my Second Amendment rights from walking from the parking garage to the federal building, don't I?
I do not believe that the federal courthouse has the ability to check in a firearm.
That's right. Well, they used to at York County years ago, but they don't even do that anymore. So, what kind of cases do they normally hear at U.S. District Court?
Well, they do a lot of criminal and civil cases, and I don't know which one you're a juror up for, criminal or civil.
I don't know.
But criminal cases, a lot of times at the federal level, are white-collar drug cases. They don't really do like bar.
tax cases and stuff.
Yeah, and like the Rite Aid case was there, and mainly white collar issues, and like I said, then a lot of drug issues because they get them under the Interstate Commerce Clause.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I'd
so-
love to be on a tax case and do jury nullification.
a lot of drug cases. Then on the civil docket, it's products liability, and it's anything where there's diversity jurisdiction, which means if I sue the Ford Motor Company, for instance, I'm a Pennsylvania citizen, it goes to federal court because they're not headquartered in Pennsylvania, they're from another state. And the idea of diversity jurisdiction is to prevent the state courts from protecting the local guy.
Oh, yes, of course.
So it could be interesting. Well, good luck.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I get paid. My employer pays me for the time, so
Which is the best of all worlds.
I just don't want to have to deal with Harrisburg. You know what I mean?
The short answer is there's a garage right next to it off of, was it Locust Street there? And just get there early and you'll be fine.
Yep.
All right, boss.
I know.
Good luck.
All right. Well, hey, keep up the cigar smoking. I'm friends with you on Facebook.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do that.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
540-0580. What else did I want to remind you guys? Well, of course, Harrisburg Beer and Cigar. That reminds me. Great place to go. Make sure if you stop in to buy a beer or a cigar over there, you tell them I sent you. And great, a guy stopped us the other day. We were smoking some cigars, and he's like, "Where'd you get those?" And I say, "Well, at this beer distributor." And he looks at me kind of cross-eyed, and I'm like, "No. This isn't like the beer distributor cigar case where they've got 5 things with little plastic tips on them, and it's this little tiny case where everything cracks when you touch it. This is a beer distributorship with a giant walk-in humidor just packed with all kinds of premium cigars. So if you get a chance, check out Harrisburg Beer and Cigar." Oh, boy. What else we got here? Medical billing question. Doug, what do you want to know?
Hey, there's an insurance company that has a water file representing it.
Yeah.
And trying to get money.
Quack.
Exactly. But the doctor in Carlisle won't sign it until they're paid, and they're also saying if you sign off give us the money from that insurance company and have it go directly to us, we'll fill out that paperwork. So it's like a rock and a hard place. Are they allowed to do that?
So they want to stop?
To get the money from the insurance company, you have to have the doctor fill out paperwork.
Right.
The problem. But the doctor is owed money.
So he's saying I'm owed money, so I'm not going to fill out the paperwork.
Right. Or sign it over that we get all the money first, and it's almost like extortion. Are they allowed to do that?
Well, here's the answer. He's not denying you any medical care.
Right.
So I think he is. In other words, he's saying, hey, you want me to... Here's what he's saying. You want me to sign a piece of paper so you can get money when you haven't yet paid me.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I think it answers itself.
No, I understand that. That's fine.
I think it answers itself. And you know what? I would take it to him and have him sign it. And because that way you'll get your medical bill paid down at least.
Sure, yeah.
But you understand his dilemma.
I'm actually asking for somebody else, and that's what I felt. Well, at least get your medical bill paid off and see if there's any money left over.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, worst case scenario, I guess you and the doctor could do a dance, or this guy and the doctor could do it. Doc, if I sign this and you sign it, then you're going to get all the money. But if I don't do this, then you're not going to get your money. So why don't we just agree that you take 2/3 of it and I take 1/3 of it, and I'll keep working on the rest of the bill? And I guess the doc's going to make a business decision about that.
There you go. All right,
boss.
Thanks.
540-0580. Hey, mister, I know that I owe you $10,000, but will you sign this piece of paper so I can collect 5? Yeah, I will. Yeah. So I can collect 5. Jim, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Mr. Rominger. I'll try to be real quick because I know it's at the hour here. I have a disability, and I work for a contractor, and we work out of a big corporation. I usually work second shift, and most recently we were taken over. Our contractor was taken over by another contractor. We have a new boss, and sometimes they let me go into third shift, and my supervisors know about everything, but that the new person at the top doesn't. And what's going on is she's saying that because I'm going into, our hours are supposed to be 5 to 1:30 in the morning, and she's saying, or the insurance company or something, she's saying the insurance is saying you have to, we want a supervisor to be with you on the third shift part. And so she's really on my case, and I just wondered is there anything with can the Disabilities Act intervene and do anything?
So, what's your disability?
It's a mental
disability. I don't know the answer to that.
Good question, isn't it?
I would refer you to the Disability Law Clinic at the Penn State University, which is actually the Dickinson School of Law.
Okay.
So if you look them up online, it's Dickinson School of Law in Carlisle. They have a disability law clinic.
Okay.
And they're the best place to go.
Do they charge a small fee or?
No, they're pro bono. And if they can't help you, they can probably refer you to somebody who can.
Okay.
All right.
It's interesting to know what they can do to the insurance company. It's an interesting question, and I hate dealing with it, but I was curious about it, and she keeps, they're really nice to me, and they're trying to keep it under, but this lady will pop up and say, well, he's still there. Why is he still, and so that's all. I'm just trying to get myself ready in case something,
Got it.
Yeah. All right.
Boss. Interesting.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye. Yeah, Disability Law Clinic, they're good. 540-058. We'll get back from the break. We'll take some more of your legal questions.
Let's return to Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger on WHP 580.
Welcome back. Carl Rominger here, 540-0580. And, of course, if you need a lawyer throughout the week, don't forget to go to romingerlaw.com, or our office number is 717-241-6070. Again, if you're just jotting that down, the office number is in the 717 area code, 241-6070. Backwards, because the police will make me do something. Can you say your phone number backwards? 0706 042. No, it's 142 717. The 717 is the easy part because it reciprocates either direction. There's a term for those kinds of numbers, but what do I know? Kathy, you're on WHP 580 with Carl Rominger. What's going on? Hey, Kathy.
Oh, hi, Carl. Thanks for taking my call. Carl, this is kind of a complicated subject. I have a nephew who, when he was 12 years old, the family didn't know anything about this, but evidently a neighborhood boy and him were involved in just a brief sexual encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And the charges were brought about 5 years later, and we had a bad attorney who didn't really defend him, and so he was put in a juvenile detention center. And so we were in the process of getting another attorney. We have got another attorney, and it's being an appeal is being made. But everything has hinged on what the other child's family has said. And the problem is with this other family, they had exposed their children to pornography. There was some other problems in the family with incest and things. And the one child was exposed to all of this,
right.
And he was the one that was going after my nephew to do something and had kept prompting this to happen, and my nephew said, okay, then he let it happen for about a minute. And then 5 years later, the charges are brought forth, and there's, and I think the reason is to protect her other children who were molesting neighborhood kids, and they're trying to force all the blame on this one child. And I'm just wondering when they're that young, how does that work with the court system? I mean, if they're both under 12, now my nephew happened to be the older one, but I think the other boy was more conditioned to this stuff.
When the kids are too young, then they can't be prosecuted as juveniles. If they're old enough, they may be prosecuted as juveniles. But any which way, they could still be adjudicated dependent and given services through the children and youth system. So, but I'm not sure what your question is. What are you trying to ask me? What's the point of this?
Okay. In other court cases where there's two children under the age of 12,
right?
If the one is being accused of performing, letting the other one perform a sexual act on him,
mm-hmm.
then is it automatic that kid's charged with rape?
Well, when both kids are under 12, then neither one's capable of consent, right? So theoretically, if they have a consensual sexual act, it's going to be rape because neither one of them can consent.
Uh-huh.
Theoretically. All right, Kathy, this sounds like one we got to untangle off the air because it's not a family show, but, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I just was trying. There was a judge, a Supreme Court judge in Ohio where there was a case like that, and he said he couldn't accuse one child. They both had to be accused because they were both involved in it, or let the whole thing go.
Right. But prosecutorial discretion is such. I guess they could pick a perpetrator.
Yeah. See, that's the problem. Is how do you go back and find a court case similar?
Well, you're not going to find a court case exactly similar to that, and even if there was one, it's not going to be very public because it's all going to be under seal. So odds of even finding, you'd have to find a written opinion on it. But the point of the matter is, are you trying to say you want your kid defended, or are you trying to say not get in trouble?
He's never been defended.
Right. Well, who's his juvenile attorney? I mean, he has one?
Yes, we got one, a different one, because the first one wasn't doing his job. He never really defended him.
Right. Well, and of course, sometimes clients tell me I'm not defending them, but they're not hearing me when I say this is what the law allows or doesn't allow, and so they may be doing the best they can with the factual scenario. All right, Kathy, gotta go.
All right, thanks.
540-0580. Greg, you're on the air, Greg.
Hi, Carl. Great show. Listen to you all the time. Got a quick question. I'm starting a business, and it's a partnership between three people. There's going to be public there and equipment, automobiles, different things like that. And I want to protect myself, my private interests from any liability. With this new LLCs that are coming all the time, what's the difference between corporation, LLC, partnership? Which way would you recommend to go on something like that?
Well, the short answer is I don't know. What I usually tell people to do is go see your CPA, okay, and let them make a decision amongst the group of you as to what's best for your personal situations.
Okay.
And then we write it up from there. But there's no difference between an LLC and an S Corp and a small business for all intensive purposes, except that one has the ability to be treated like a corporation for tax purposes, and one has the right to be treated as a partnership for tax purposes. But they're all flow-through entities.
Okay. So one doesn't involve more meetings, and I know.
I mean, it could, but under Pennsylvania law, it's possible. An LLC probably has less formality than an S corp in some ways. But you can make it as formal as you want, depending on your agreement.
Oh, okay. So
you want to handle things in the agreement, so you're getting a business with two other guys, right?
Right.
So if one of them is currently cheating on his wife, and he gets caught 2 years from now, and there's a big divorce, his portion of the LLC is going to be divided up between the two of them.
Okay.
So a good LLC agreement, for instance, is going to have a clause that says, well, if one of these suckers gets divorced, here's what happens.
Right.
We get to buy a share off of him so that we don't have to be 1/6, have the wife as an angry wife as a 1/6 owner.
Okay.
And her no good husband as the other 1/6 owner. So bankruptcy clauses, all kinds of clauses that can be put into them. Some of the agreements are very elaborate. Also, with three guys, you don't have a tiebreaker problem, right?
No, but no, you wouldn't actually. No.
Right. So there's always going to be that problem solved. But what happens if you guys want to admit somebody else? Like, let's say the business is going great, but it's on the verge of greatness, but you need more cash, and you guys are depleted, and the retired Bob Durgan's looking for something to do. How do you add him?
Okay. If we had a fourth partner, then.
But so the agreement should talk about how all that works.
Okay.
All right.
And a CPA helps with that.
The CPA is going to tell you what you want to do for tax purposes and maybe something for business purposes. The lawyer is going to help you make it work and anticipate all the legal problems.
So between the two of them, they should set you up right.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you
all right,
very
boss.
much.
Greg, I lost you. Did I lose Greg? Jeanette.
Yes.
Jeanette. Yes.
Yes, well, I have a question about an LLC partnership
Yes.
that my husband and I are in. And it has a clause in there that either partner can state if they want to sell.
Right.
And we just got notification that the other partner wants to sell.
Yep.
So we have 15 days to accept or reject based on the seller's, and then it's based on the seller's terms and conditions. And the condition he put in there was after the 15 days, we have 3 business days to settle. And it's a real large amount of money.
So I'd have to see your agreement to see what it says.
Yeah, it doesn't state in there anything about like a day for settlement, but it states in there like if he wants to sell and we don't accept, and then he doesn't want to, if either of us don't want to purchase the property, then it's supposed to go to like 18 months with a real estate agent. And it doesn't seem like he's giving like us that like consideration. It's just 3 days, boom, and you have to settle.
Yeah, I understand. So we'd have to take a look at it. But I mean, yeah, it depends what your agreement. That's why a well-written agreement would have clauses in it that say, by the way, if it's a lot of money, I don't have to pay it all at once. In fact, I just saw an agreement that says if it's less than this amount of money, then you got to pay it within 6 months. If it's more than this amount of money, then you can get 18 months to pay.
And see, we had an LLC lawyer look at it and say, oh, that's a good agreement. And now we're running into this.
Well, there are always good agreements until there's a problem that's unanticipated or a problem that just doesn't work out. I'd be happy to talk to you off the air, Jeanette. The office number is 717-241-6070.
Okay.
717-241-6070, and just give you like a little thumbnail because I'm out of time today, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, I'll be in on Monday. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Go to RomingerLaw.com if you want to learn more. Don't forget, on the 18th, I'll be down there in Cross Keys talking to 912 Patriots. Look that up on Rominger Law as well. And don't forget to Facebook me. I do have my cell phone number up there.